Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So before going into teaching, Lord Yama has one more sentence to encourage Nachiketa about the choice that he made. Okay? So he expresses it by saying, Shravanayam api bahubhihi yaha nalabhyaha. This knowledge that I am going to teach you, it's not available for many people for even listening to. Okay? Shrunvantaha api bahavaha yamna vidyuhu. Okay? So first, to come to this teaching itself, it's not that easy. Right? Why is it not easy? What keeps you from this teaching? Your own choices in life. Right? Don't think that there is somebody who's punishing you by not making this knowledge available to you. You yourself are keeping yourself from this teaching by engaging in the world and having values for different things. Okay? So therefore, that is something that opportunities come. There is a very nice thing that my teacher said, that there was somebody inside the home and there was a knock. And then the person does not open the door. Then the second time, who is it? Then outside the door it says opportunity. Then this guy says, opportunity does not come twice. So he's denying the second opportunity by telling himself that the opportunity doesn't come twice. So you never take the opportunities that come to you. Right? So this is how it is not available. It's not available. Okay? Then that Shrunvantaha api bahavaha yamna vidyuhu. Okay? Even if you come to Vedanta, Lord Yama says, you can listen and you can listen and you can listen and you may not get it at all. Okay? Why do you think that? Why do you think that people listen with all this interest and then they don't get it? Sometimes people say, during the first few times I listened to Vedanta and it all was making perfect sense. But the more I listen to it, it's becoming so elusive, it's very difficult. Why, in spite of listening, it is difficult?
You are so full with other things.
Exactly. You're so full with other ideas and you can't just give them up, right, to see what is being said. When you receive the words, the meanings that you create of those words is already what? Distorting that meaning. That's why it's interesting. I do a class in Bombay and two people were exchanging their notes of the class. And they said, we were so surprised, two of them wrote totally different things. So that means I'm one person who's talking, each one is writing their own thing about what I'm talking. And that's interesting how that whole learning, that the words come out, but you receive those words and you give meaning to those words. And are you giving the right meanings? Or are you creating your own meanings?
Even when I listen to your talks again and again, I realize this. Oh, last week I understood it different.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, that particular nature of mind, which is not distorting what is coming and receiving it things as they are, that nature of mind is so important before you understand Vedanta. And how do you get that mind which is a non-distorting mind? How? Your day-to-day transactions. If you have difficulty in understanding the simple things, and your mind is projecting and creating pictures that are not accurate, that mind, when it comes to a subtle teaching like Vedanta, you think it will understand everything exactly? It's impossible. Okay? So therefore, that preparation of having a mind which is a non-projecting mind is an important preparation, without which, even if you listen for births and births and births, it will not take its roots. The second difficulty could also be that not with you but with the teacher. If the teacher himself or herself is not very clear, or just parrot like a parrot repeating what Vedanta is saying, it will not give the fruits. Right? So here he says, Shrunavantah api. There are many reasons why it may not be clear. Okay? So Ascharya Vakta Kushalaha Asya Labdha. It's a wonder. That means it's a wonder when you find the teacher who knows. You find a teacher who knows. Vaktaha means the teacher is the Ascharya. Ascharya means it's a wonder to find a teacher, Vakta, the speaker who knows what I'm speaking about, what he or she is speaking about, is understood. The strength that it carries is something which is different than when somebody is just repeating what somebody else is saying. Okay? To find a teacher who knows is difficult. And to find a teacher who not only knows but is equipped with a methodology to make you see this fact is even more difficult. Because the whole teaching is leading. Making you see, take you and make your buddhi subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler, so that you are in touch with what is. Last time, I love the comment that Sahajo gave about my class. She used an analogy. She said, you made us fly like a bird, and we were just led from this to this to this to this, and we had this whole beautiful picture of what is. Leading, making it sharp, making you see. This is the whole methodology. Making you see the big picture, taking you from your smallness to this big picture. Okay? So that is what requires a methodology. If you don't have adequate methodology, you just create superficial concepts and ideas which are not grounded enough. Okay? So Ascharya Vaktaha Kushalaha Asya Labdaha. What a wonder it is if you find not only a good teacher but a bright student. It is what? The grass gets a fire and then ghee. Right? That's why our teacher, right, he is very particular about who sits in the front row. Because it's so important to have eyes shining in front of you, because then you feel inspired when you are speaking. If the person is like indifferent or the person is agitated, it's okay. It's not that everybody wants to be like that, but the teacher is inspired when the teacher sees bright shining eyes. It's true. Somebody who receives the meaning and there is a brilliance on the face, lovely. When Surya finished his course, they did a ritual for all the people who are going to become teachers to attract good students. a ritual was done.
Did it work?
I got 800. the cream of India. It worked.
To have a good, that combination, he says, is a wonder. A bright student and a clear teacher. Right? So that he says, Kushalasya labdaha ascharya gnata kushalan anushishtaha. And imagine that the knowledge does take place. That also is a wonder. A brilliant teacher saying, a student receiving, making enough efforts to grow as a person, understand cognitively what is being told, and then the person gets it. The person gets the vision in its totality. As Surya was saying, as clear as the daylight. That is a wonder. That is a wonder because nobody can control it. Neither the teacher can control. If you come and ask a teacher, even to Swami Dayananda, when will I get moksha? Do you think he has an answer? He has no answer. When will I understand this vision without any ambiguity, without any doubt, without any vagueness, without any resistance? Just clear see. When will I get it? Even he doesn't know. Do you know yourself when you're going to get it? I want it tomorrow because I'm frustrated with my life. No way. Try. Right? Neither, that is a wonder. Neither the teacher knows it and neither the student knows it, and it still happens. Who decides? How is it governed? Who gets it? At what time? When? Is it random? No. It's not random. It follows an order. This is why we pray. Because it's not in my control. And it is in equally nobody else's control, including your guru. There are forces which decide. So you make your effort and you ask for help. That is the nature of prayer. Okay? So therefore it is a wonder. Wonder means you have to align your living, right? You have to live even in that pursuit. There has to be intelligence. When you are, until you understand the reality, who are you? Are you that Brahman? Are you the Brahman? Who are you?
Jiva.
Yeah, you are the Jiva who's trying to understand I'm Brahman. And that Jiva who's trying to understand I'm Brahman doesn't want to acknowledge Jivatvam. will create a big confusion. Because you are working with an entity and you need the help of that entity, you need the mind to understand. And if you're negating the presence of mind, which will help you to understand, you're in a soup, I tell you. It's not about negating individuality. It is about that individual preparing oneself enough so that the person understands. Very different. Not creating a state where I don't want anything to do with my individuality. It is not your choice. You're born with this body, you're born with this mind. You are imprisoned as though in this body and mind, and you can't do anything to avoid it. And you're not imprisoned if you know how to use this body and mind to get to where you want to get to. It can be an imprisonment or it can be a great opportunity. You have to make it into an opportunity. Denying your individuality is not going to get you moksha. Not paying attention to it and wanting to identify always with that bigger is not going to get you moksha. You need to use that individuality intelligently so that that little mind can understand that big picture. You can't deny it. So therefore, here he says, Kushala Anushishtaha. When the teacher is teaching, there are different ways in which the teacher knows where a student is. It's not to judge, it is just to help in the process of removing barriers. Right? It's not that the teacher is saying, oh no, this person, in this scale of 1 to 10, where are you in the moksha, for moksha? At the end, I'll give a certificate, you're 10, you're 9, you're 6, you're 3. I'm not going to give that. And I'm not here to do that either. What I have to do as my job as a teacher to recognize where are the resistances and to help you overcome those resistances so that what? You understand what is being said better. That is Kushalan Anushishtaha. Each student is stuck at a different level. Somebody is stuck at an emotional level. Somebody is stuck at understanding what is this upadana and is all. I was explaining once to my students 2 terms, upadhi and upahita. They got so confused. It was interesting because I thought it was so simple. And then in the end they're all like, yeah, but this is upadhi and this is upahita. And then it became like one whole big confusion. Right? So my role as a teacher is what? To make them say, okay, now forget this. Let's not get caught in all these terms and terminology. Let's just understand some ideas which are important to understand. Okay? So people get stuck sometimes at the level of cognitive understanding, sometimes with reference to resistances that they have, with reference to ideas that they have gathered and not being able to give up those ideas. Sometimes they have resistance with reference to the emotional baggage that they are carrying with themselves. So they have different types of resistances. And the job of the teacher is to recognize the type of resistance and to slowly help the person overcome it gently and quietly. And sometimes very directly. This is what we say, Kushalan Anushishtaha. It requires skill. Right? So, Kushalan Anushishtaha na varena proktaha eshaha suvigneyaha. If it is taught by a person who is not totally understood, it's not what? Not possible to know it. Okay, so suvigneyaha bahudha chintyamanaha. Okay, it is not easy to know. Why is it not easy to know? Because it is thought about bahudha chintyamanaha, thought about in many different ways. First, what is Atma is understood differently. Secondly, what will happen to me when I understand this Atma is understood differently. The manner in which it is known is understood differently. What I require to know the Atma is understood differently. Too many things. And everybody has some logic. Everybody has some convincing power. Who do I believe and who I don't believe? And which of my own ideas I retain and which of my own ideas I give up? Difficult. Right? So therefore, here he says that nasavigneyaha, it's not easy because it is bahudha chintyamanaha. Within all these, to get clarity is a job. Okay? Ananya prokte gatihi atra nasti aniyan hi ataha anu pramanat. It is not easy to understand because it is subtle. Sometimes when we talk about Satyam and Mithya, so let me just talk about it right now. Right? What is Satyam? The definition of Satyam is that which is independently existing. And the definition of Mithya is that which depends upon something for its existence. That's the definition. Right? Something which has a dependent existence and something which has an independent existence. That which has an independent existence is which is what we call Satyam. That which has dependent existence is what we call Mithya. Right? So therefore, let's come to an example of a table. Okay? In the table, there are seemingly two things. One is a table and the other one is wood. Are there really two things? We have two names. We have one name which is wood. We have another name which is table. Is one totally wrong? No. You can't say both, there's only one object and there are two names. And those two names are not synonyms. And both of them are not totally wrong. Very interesting. Even if they are not wrong and they are not, then both of them are right. But how can two different things be right for one object? Then there is a different relationship. What is the relationship between table and wood?
Material table.
Exactly. The table is made from the material which is wood. Right? So that means in this understanding, very good. Now try to put it in the Satya-Mithya relationship. Right? When you say that the table is made from the material, which is wood, what are you saying? The table depends upon wood for its existence. If it depends upon wood for its existence, is it Satyam or Mithya?
Mithya.
Perfect. It is Mithya. Because without wood, you will not find the table. Now, do you see that the inverse is right? Does the wood need table for its existence? No. Even if I break the table, the wood will still be, and I can use the wood for making something totally different. Right? So, in this relationship, one object, two words. None of the two words are totally wrong. Both are right. But one has dependent, one is a name for a form which has a dependent existence. The other one is what? Satyam. Right? Another one is Satyam, which does not have a dependent existence. When I explain this idea, very often people ask, here I understand. I can very easily see the wood and I can understand that the table is a form. But why I can't see Atma like I see the wood?
Should we answer?
Sorry?
Should we answer?
Yeah, please answer.
Because I am Atma.
Excellent. Because Atma is, here it says, Anuhu Aniya. It's subtle. It's not available for objectification. Anuhu Aniya. Our whole orientation in life is you see it and then you understand it. Right? You need to see it. Atma is the only thing that is not available. Atma is I, and as Sahajo says, it is not available for your objectification. You can't see it as a wood. And that's where comes all the difficulties. Because you want, the minute you say, yeah, now I want to experience Atma, what do you want to do?
Pray.
You want to objectify Atma. You, as a person, wants to experience. What do you experience? You experience what? You objectify what? Objects.
Table.
You objectify objects. There is only one thing in this universe that you don't objectify. And that is I. Okay? So, you can understand I without objectification. If I use the words to make you see your true nature, you can understand it. But your very orientation keeps you away from understanding. Because you always are expecting for it to appear in front of you. That's why the whole teaching is subtle, highly subtle. Okay, so it is Anuhu. Anuhu means it's subtle. In order to understand subtle things, your buddhi has to be what? Subtle. And buddhi has to be subtle. Okay? So this is how he explains to Nachiketa that you are actually ready. You have deserved a good teacher. I'm going to teach you, right? And this teaching will, even though it's very subtle, it will produce the result because you have clarity. He's encouraging Nachiketa. Right? Now, the teaching begins. What is Atma? Right? Now, the teaching is Na jayate mriyate va vipaschita nayam kutaschit na babhuva kaschit ajaha nityaha shashvataha ayam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Okay, so this Atma, he's making a statement, okay, is not born it does not die, it does not originate from anything, it did not become anything, it is unborn, eternal, decayless and growthless, it is not afflicted when the body is afflicted. Okay? Huge statement. What is Atma? Atma is a Sanskrit word for I. I. What is your conclusion if I ask you, who are you? Provided now that you have listened to Vedanta, maybe you'll give me an answer which is, I'm Brahman. But if you didn't know anything about Vedanta, and if I just ask you, who are you? What would you say? Any person you ask, who are you?
The name, unveils.
Okay, great. You when somebody says, who are you, you give a name, which is your name, right? And then what else?
Profession.
Excellent. You say that I'm an engineer, I'm an economist, I'm an environmentalist, I'm a doctor, I'm a healer, I'm a painter, I'm an artist.
Man or woman.
I'm a
Gender.
right gender, man or woman, right? How are all the other? What else would you say about yourself?
Age.
Age,
Yeah.
right?
Which
So-
country, eh?
Yeah. So now all these different, right? Now name is an interesting name because what exactly is a name here? Where is a name appearing? The body was born. It's just your parents' wishes, right?
Isn't it a bit like with the table? I mean,
Yeah,
with
exactly.
your
Yeah,
legs.
absolutely. You're right. Absolutely. Right? But now imagine, now it's interesting, right? You call this a table and and you call that also what? That inside the cloth hiding.
Chair.
No,
No,
it's table.
It's a
High
table.
And that one is what?
Also
A table.
Table. Right? But we don't call human one, human. I don't call this Lakshmi, this Saraswati.
Some do.
Right?
But that's interesting.
The forms are there, but we are very clever. We've given names to those forms. And that name, if you try to if you misspell somebody's name, people don't like it. They're offended. Right? There is such an identification with a name, and that name is totally arbitrary. Even if you try to make it very meaningful and all, it's still nothing to do with this body, right? So the name is the biggest, if my identification is with the name, it's a very arbitrary identification. Now, if I tell that I am this many years old, then there is some correspondence. Where is the correspondence? What is aging?
Yeah.
The body. The hair is becoming grey. Right? So that means that I'm 32 years old. Right? So that 32 years old corresponds to something which is the age of the body. Right? Then somebody said, I would say that I'm my profession, economist, engineer. Where does that belong?
Skills.
Yeah. Huh? Education, skills, right? Now where does that belong here?
Mind.
The mind. Right? It's with reference to what I have used my mind to learn. True?
Yeah, or what you have learned with your hands. No?
Perfect. Right? If you say you are an artist, then what?
It's both, I would say.
You need muscles.
Yeah, exactly. You identify the skills that you have and also with hands what you create, right? All these different things that you tell about yourself, even though you can tell I'm a healer and she says she's a yoga teacher and he says he's an engineer, she says she's a development expert, all these, the forms are very different, but the identification is with what?
What you do.
Exactly. It's always either with the physical body or the mind.
With some labels, basically.
Sorry?
With some labels, basically.
Yeah. Right? So that means even though each one of you will give a different answer to, if I ask you who are you, and it may sound very different, two things are very common. Two things are common in all the answers. What are the two things which are common in all the answers? Your identity with the body,
Body and the mind.
and your identity with the mind. These are common. Even though the answers are very different. That means each one of us feels I am as good as the body and the mind.
And we have to eat. It's past one.
Right? This is the conclusion that Vedanta is questioning.
Again and again and again.
Again and again and again. Right? Something which is so obvious for everyone, which is intrinsic part of everybody's answer, now you are asked to question that. That's scary.
But doesn't this also comes back to experience? I mean, body and mind is basically what I experience.
Exactly.
And I think then that I am what I experience.
Yeah.
So you are the room, and the smell here in the room.
Well, interesting thought, yeah.
Right. So therefore, let's examine. Let's use the methodology to examine. Right? So now, these two conclusions, even though the answers are seemingly different, there are two conclusions which are invariable. I'm identified with characteristics of the body, and I'm identified with the characteristics of the mind. This is common in all these apparent differences. Okay? The first conclusion, I am the body. Okay? I am the body is a conclusion that everybody has, and it not only gives me an identity of how old I am, my gender or whatever, it makes me conclude I'm a mortal. Big thing.
Nicht immortal. Sterblich. Ich bin sterblich.
Ach so,
Immortal.
I have a birth date, and I have inevitable date where I will no longer be. This conclusion that I am mortal if I don't know a bigger, I take that reality of me being the body as absolute, I'm stuck with my mortality. My time on this earth is insignificant. And one day, not only I will disappear, but all the people that I love, I also have to see them go one by one. That is tough. That is very difficult. That's why I live with fears which are so deeply ingrained in me, and nobody can avoid it. That's why you don't want to talk about it. It's too difficult to talk about it. Now, this is Indian magic. I will keep the body and make you see right now, right, how you are not it. I don't know how to do the trick, but, but I can make you see something which is like a magic. Okay? This body that we all think that this is me, so identified with the characteristics, and because of its going apparent absence, I have fears of mortality. Let's examine the reality of this body. If I ask you, what is the body? What will you tell me?
Different organs.
Very good, right? So this body is constituted of different organs. Look at the magic. Is the hand body? Hand and body are synonyms? No. No, they are not synonyms. So let's take out hand now, because hand is not the body. Is the leg the body? Not synonyms. Now I have to take out the leg. The hand is not the body. The leg is not the body. Is kidney the body? The kidney is not body. Let's take out the kidney. Liver. Is it body? No. Take out the liver. Muscle. Is it a body? No. Blood. Body? No. Water. Body? No. Now you are left with
Heart.
heart.
Already
Very important place.
Exactly. After the kidney, we are
Yes.
brain.
Your head.
Okay, wonderful. Right? Heart.
Get a new one.
Dub, 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 dub. Get a new one. Replace. Is that body? No. My God. When I take out kidney, liver, heart, intestines, spine, skin, water, blood, brain. What is brain? Physical brain, part of physical body. What is there in the brain? What constitutes brain? Have you seen the thing of brain? Beautiful little, there was a neuroscientist who was holding human brain in his hand. And he was saying this 2 or 3 pound organ is an amazing organ. It is
Amazing.
organ. It can not only think about the world, it can think about the origin of the world, it can think about theories of what? Big Bang. And it can also think about one's own role in the world. What an instrument. And this instrument is what? What is, if you ask a scientist, what is this, what constitutes this instrument? Tissues, neurons, electrical wiring, chemicals. Yes. Right? So this physical brain also is something which is what? First, the brain is not the body. At the first level now, you have this name called body, but when you take out each part which constitutes the body, What remains as an entity called body? Nothing. Are you nothing? Are you bits and pieces? Now, let's say I'm not the body because body is only a name and it constitutes of so many different parts. So it's one entity which I just, when all these parts come together, I give it an arbitrary name, body. Now, these parts seem very real to me because body is just a name. Now look at each part of the body. Hand. Is skin the body? Hand? I take out the skin. Is water that is flowing here the hand? I take out the water. Is the blood which is flowing here the hand? No, I take out the blood. Are the nails hand? No, I take out the nails. Show me a hand now. First the body was only a name, now magic. Even the hand has become only a name. It is constituting of so many other parts. When all these parts come together, I give it another name. So it is one name which was arbitrary name, the body. Now the second name which is arbitrary name, which is hand. Then leg, same story. Each organ, same story. Brain, same story. There is no brain without chemicals, there is no brain without electrical connections, there is no brain without tissues, there is no brain without cells, neurons. So now you have who you call I, the body, doesn't even exist. It is just an integration of some parts. And each part, when I look in, it is what? A configuration of other many parts. And that, another parts. And that, another parts. The blood, which is running in your hand. What is the blood? What is that? What is that constitution? When you go for a blood test, they have all these long lists of things which are in your blood. And you are struggling even to figure out what is it that you have to look for. Where is your hemoglobin? Is that I?
No, the kitchen. You have to eat. Because of the kitchen. Problem otherwise. I'm very sorry.
You have to feed this body. It's not your fault. I know. You have to work.
Body? In the body or where?
The body is food.
We have to nourish.
So hemoglobin is remembering you. Food.
Right? So, the conclusion that we all make, just because we all make it, doesn't make it right. You need to think about it. Who are you? Right? So we will continue this inquiry in the, hopefully, I don't know,
You can do it in the beginning.
in the evening.
On the beginning of the afternoon session.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we'll continue this. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.